Here we go, round 4. Okay, Rod went live and I joined him successfully on his page. We're going to try it here now. Persistence. Don't give up so easy ever in life on any of your goals, especially when you're being thwarted. If it don't work on this one, I'm going to be very confused. Oh, Rod, you know what to do. There's Rach, she's picking the corner, I think. I'm about to squirt my eyes again. It's been a really bad day for that. I set the tools outside. They've blown a hole in things. Take 4. Yep, here we go. We got Rad wants to join. You better do it this time. Add. Couldn't add guest. Was unable. I give. Hey, you all add Rod, man. You want to do this on yours? I don't understand this at all. This is it's a fucking with me. Hey, Alan, and somebody else asked to invite themselves. I want to see one more time. I'm not going to move my phone from where it is. See, somebody else invite themselves. Rach, you, what's going on? This is a targeting. So somebody bring them on camera. Who wants in? Rachel. I've got you. So turn your camera. Accept the request. It didn't give me the error on you, Rach. So we're going to be using Rachel for Rod. And re-aim your cameras and here we go. Got time.
Hey!
Brought my phone up in such a way that I could see it. Oh, fuck it, man. Let's just bring it down. Is everything okay now? Yay. Hello, folks. Persistence pays off. Take 4. You got your head going, so you might have to move your camera back a bit to see you better. We're going to talk about tensor tools today. Everybody's been waiting on this one. Hey, I knew that feather was a good title. Right, when we're trying to fix something and I'm talking to you and his feather floated down onto my lap, I knew we were going to get this right eventually. So there's something on your phone that ain't on hers. So hiya, Rachel. Did you go to the transition, the full rod there?
But I could
that
call
was suggested. So we just put some blessings on this whole situation. So I guess I'm just going to start with the basic. Rod, what is a tensor tool?
Well, basically a tensor tool is a vessel of light frequencies and you know, really, without getting too technical and getting into all the metaphysical properties and whatever, but basically it's a tensor's non-magnetic and it's non-electric. It's a 0-point energy field, but it's basically a broadcasting light device, to be totally honest. So like a double-sided torch. So it produces a beam of light both ends of the, or from the center of the ring in both directions. Very, very minimal on the peripheral edge. It's only very small, but unless it's something like a Viper or a New Dimension ring or something, that's quite different. But
yeah,
Viper. But yeah, it's basically a you know, like, to get an idea, it's like when you used to dip the ring in the bubble solution. You pick it up and you see a field across the ring, which is the bubble solution. If you hold a ring in the right light or the right background, you'll actually see what I'm talking about. The tensor field going across the ring.
It has a soap bubbly look, like when you first pull it out, where you go, a shimmer, if you will.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a disturbance in light. I see them as they move light from one end to another in a very predictable way. It sends it out. But the different fields, like you mentioned, Viper, do different things on the edges. If that makes what it seems like.
Yeah, well, that's a Viper. It's quite different in the way it's made. So it's very multi-directional tool. This one, it's quite a different beast.
Yeah, I got. Let's see, quick. I'm gonna wear them on my wrist, and I've got one here. I find they can induce drowsiness.
You can see it's got little toroids all the way around it in every direction. So it's producing beams in every direction.
And you can manifest through them. You see your better world and put your intent through that light.
And the same applies to
the Aether will translate it very well.
Yeah, any of those matrix rings, which are those multi-twisted rings, yeah, well, they're far beyond the single twisted rings. They're definitely very good at manifestation and used for a broadcast tool. You know, I've heard some amazing stories with them from people from turning their life around. But I mean, look, the other thing that you've got to understand with those is that they are an ascension ring, so they will bring up things if you're holding things in that you haven't dealt with yet. They will bring them up for you to deal with it and do it very quickly. So if you still hold a lot of emotional issues, or you still have deep-seated things buried there that you don't want to deal with, then it's going to bring them up, make you confront them. So, because you can't ascend to a higher level spiritually if you don't let go of those issues that you're hanging on to.
Yeah, you can't hang on to a lower dimensional behavior while you're in a higher dimensional state and not be lowered. Yeah. Well, it throws your song off.
They really do work on the psyche, and you know, so you know, people who've done a lot of work on that level and very intuitive psychic people, they lift it to the next level basically.
Another question I had, I was always curious about this. Where did you first hear about tensor tools in a way that made you want to make them?
Where did I first hear about them? I was at a friend's place, Jackie White, who was another orgonite maker. See, in the very beginning, we made orgonite, and when I started to experiment with different ways of building cloud busters with the orgonite, they were all passive devices. Then I learned about the Tesla coils, the sucker punches or the Mobius coils, and I started to put them together and started making powered orgonite devices. And yeah, I got shown these tensor tools and it sort of intrigued me, and I was shown how to make one little finger ring, and from there it sort of was a well, that's a wraparound finger ring, but from there I tried to find as much information as I could, which was near on impossible because there was nothing out there. It was very, very minimal. Slim had a little bit of information, but it was really hard to find, and anyone who knew about the technology kept it under wraps pretty tight. So but I eventually met a fellow who he gave me a harmonizer, and I basically spent hours and all night, in fact, trying to back engineer and create my own, and it did my head in, I can tell you. I was as soon as I welded it, fall apart again and everything else, until I finally figured out how to do it with a jig. And but yeah, it was a mission, believe me. It was a never-ending episode of discovery, let me say.
Now, there's another thing people wonder about is when you put some of these rings together, right, in certain formation, you could make a device known as a harmonizer. And this what's got somebody's name in it that I'm doing a healing on. And you guys can think wonderful thoughts towards him as well. His name is David Coughlin, and I'm using right now. I want him to rest, so he's in this harmonizer. Sometimes I put him in the new dimension, depending upon what I think is needed. I never leave him all the time in one. And John Sal's in my other one, in underneath. Yeah, she has a chest cold, but I use these for healing. So when did it occur? Well, I know Slim did this work, and I'm referencing Slim Sperling, Spurling. And Slim Sperling's Universe book. I think you've got some copies of that, which I think is an important read for people. And when you put these together, they do something different. They put out a field for vast distances. And when did you start making different ones than the basic ones Slim's was doing? Because this one is amazing. This one is wow.
Well, we started off with the standard sort of you know, Royal Qubits, the slim Sperling type design, you know, and the of course the the Mecca, the top of the range. It's the it's
I've
the
never
lost
even felt one of those.
but
I just
then,
looking at it go, whoa.
a lot of the tools that I've made that, you know, since Slim's gone, a lot of them I just received intuitively. I mean, I'd be working away making rings or whatever I was doing, and the idea would pop in my head, and I'd get shown something, you know, and I'd think, well, sometimes I'd sit there and draw it on a piece of paper or write it down, and it might be months or years before I actually got to make it. But eventually I did, and yeah, it blew me away when I actually put it to use. And like the new geyser, for instance, you know, that was an idea that came about from the Giza pyramid and the Nubian pyramid joined together, and we turned it into a harmonizer. And of course, the top of the pyramid is, of course, the most potent part of it, but also the points on each corner. But when we started making these, we started experimenting with putting new dimensional rings on them, and we found it focused the beam more. We found we were on a right angles to the atmosphere, to the horizon. We were getting out to around about 1,000 kilometres and knocking storms out over the border. So that opened up a whole different area. Then they became a defensive tool over long distance. So where the harmonizers in the round, traditional ones, put out a round field, very much like what you see on the book. You can see this sort of up the top.
A torus field.
Yeah, torus field.
Toroids, yeah.
You know, and the bigger ones can push out to quite large distances, but these were a very different beast. You know, these new geysers, and then
it's like they shoot a toroid along a beam of light that the aether translates for vast distances. I know when you put together this one, the Viper Zilla.
Yeah, well,
one of the Zilla, it's a Naga, man. This thing is, when I point this at New York, it leaves the planet at Chicago. Goes right through the mantle, it goes right out into space. It's very powerful.
Two Vipers here. This one's in the impound Qubit, and Coil Qubit.
And look at that in it at your own risk. Because when I point that at my third eye, I'm gone. When I first opened it up in the box, it was pointed straight up at me, and I opened it and I got blasted. Oh my God. Drove me back. Amazing. Then I had a great sleep. It did.
Out of all the harmonizers ever made, these are definitely the most powerful.
This is an amazing one. And even if it bends a bit when it falls over, they go back in shape pretty quickly. I have to tell people this. Mine falls over sometimes. I know I seen yours fall over during the storm. You just bend it back. The Qubit length's what's important. And explain, what is a Qubit length? If people want to know the terminology.
Well, the Qubit is a very old measurement that they used to use, and it goes right back to the biblical days, and that goes right back to well, the first one that we actually know of, the oldest that we actually know of, was the Sumerian Qubit, which was the divine justice, which we found some years ago now. But that was it was a length of measure that was actually on a copper bar of all things, but and it was used for construction, but mostly there were different ones. There were some that were used in just general construction. Some were used in only sacred sites and sacred buildings, like the pyramids and different sacred sites. But Slim described them as netta lengths, or netta lengths of God, and he knew of 19. I think.
Say that word again. I'm not quite understanding it. Nether?
Netta, N-E-T-T-E-R, netta lengths, or lengths or measurements of God, he called them.
Okay.
And he knew of 19, but he only ever released 3. But yeah, they were sacred measures that basically we found to hold certain vibrations and certain. So it's a bit like the way I explained to someone, when the wire is twisted, it's from one length of wire. It has to be that way. Otherwise, if you start playing with two pieces, you'll get a positive and a negative field. Or if you start doing the twist in the wrong direction, you'll get a double negative field and all this sort of stuff. So, but that sets up the energy flow. So basically, it realigns the crystalline structure within the wire as it heats. Then the length or the measurement becomes the frequency output. Basically, it's a bit like swearing in an antenna, if you like it.
I know you tuned this one to the hydrogen molecule. It's great with water and clouds. Yeah,
that is.
And people, I love my triple Acuvac one. No, you may not have it. They're nearly indestructible. I 5 times already I've had the tip off this smashed and then glued it back in.
Yeah.
So don't be dandy with it. Hand it around. Let people have a play.
No, they're actually quite a good tool. These, very, very good for drawing pain out and basically the negative end. It sucks or pulls negative energy out, and the crystal end is the light frequency, which pushes energy back in and seals it up. Realistically, working on the body with this, then you need to start with the dark end, which is the one that's got the hematite crystal in it, and that draws the pain out. Then seal it back up with the other end, because what that does, it basically, if you don't, you'll leave a hole in the auric field, which is not good. So you need to seal it back up.
Yeah. It doesn't say it blasts out the dark light as it goes. It goes with the flow, and you got to put positive light back in the void to make sure it's filled and doesn't fill with things of entity things. Because when you start messing with aether tools, and these are aether tools as well, but they're using light, and then aether instructs that, but it's multidimensional. So you can draw entities down using certain tools and stuff. I've never had any problems with these, but some of the old cloud busters with the tubes that went up, it can put a terrible negative DOR field around your life if you operate near your house, and entities can show up. And a lot of times even heavy EMF it's manipulating multidimensional fabrics that allow entities from other dimensions to come down, and we very often see their shapes in the clouds. I can call them Imaginarium all I want, but my spiritual beliefs clearly see things. Here's another stroke of genius you had, and I got to say it. Slim Sperling used to run music in his harmonizer, but he used those little earbuds and would set them there. But you've actually wired the quartz crystal to a headphone jack that you could run a tone generator in, and change the waveform, square, round, all the different tools that any synthesizer could do. That was a stroke of genius.
Basically, we sort of married up
really good either.
Royal Rife with Slim Sperling and Dr. Willem Reich and Tesla, for that matter. So if you play the harmonizer, it does activate it and broadcast it out of scale.
That nearly knocked my signal out when I did that. I have to be careful. These tools will take your signals away from your phone. If I have them in the wrong places, they will. I got one shut down, actually.
But by making the sucker punch using the Mobius coil around the crystal, what it does, it eliminates. So when you play a square wave frequency into that, it automatically creates a scalar wave. So basically, you're only using the harmonizer as a broadcasting tool. So basically, it's eliminating the fact that you have to sit there and listen to horrible screeching type of frequencies.
That could be.
So
yeah, that 9600 when the headphone jack backs out is irritating.
Well, that's probably one of our main frequencies that we use now, and we've been having just phenomenal success with it.
I didn't think it was wrong to suggest it, but there's subdivisions of that need to be known later on as you become involved with these tools, because you could do great harm with them. You don't be playing God. Rod's showing you his tone generator. He used the app. Go ahead and show that and talk about it.
Really sitting there listening to that all day, it sends you nuts. So we plug it in and bang, and that's powered up. And look, it doesn't take long for anyone to see the results. I mean, just got to look up and.
When I powered this up on 9600 the first time, and I went out to the park across from my house in Liverpool, and I was every bit of close to a mile away from my door. And when I laid on the ground, I can hear the tone going through the plane. That actually amazed me that harmonizer did that. And I did have it hooped at the time too. I had the, I don't know what, when you put the two together, you got a special name for that? Is it?
Well, that's called well, apparently it's called the Community Harmonizer. It's the new dimension.
Yeah, this one, but like, when you put the two together, I often run this by itself, but then sometimes I run it with this. That's what I'm talking about. Do you have a special name for that?
Yeah, well, it just expands the field by putting it in the full new dimension ring. If you put it in the single twisted ring, like the ones that we use in the practitioner sets, it would shut the field down, turn it into a solid beam of light. But if you set it in dimension or a Viper ring, it would broadcast it and make it stronger.
Yeah, I have to, that's what I put inside the other one when I shut it down. When you hear me say I'm going to shut it down, I put this in and it shuts it down.
Turns it into a beam, straight up and down.
Yeah, it was straight up. It's blowed a hole over me when I brought him outside, and they've re-chem bombed it since. Yeah, that's what they do. I take this one, I can clear it again. With the wand, you just make little vortexes. You'll feel it. Yes, they do. It gets a little thickness to them.
You can stand there and point that at a cloud if you've got 5 to 10 minutes to do it, and within that time you'll blow a hole through it. So,
what was the coolest healing you think you ever saw that amazed you with these rigs?
Oh,
that's a loaded question. You can say several.
There's been many, but there's one that really sticks in my mind, which was young fella had a motorcycle accident. He was on his way home from work, and a car ran a red light and took him out, and he was in hospital. In a coma. Had broken vertebrae, smashed bones everywhere. Basically, had 3 bleeds to the brain, one very deep that they said only 3% of people ever survive. And they said he probably will never walk again and may never come out of the coma. So, and if he does, he probably won't remember anything or have any control over bodily functions, etc. But I heard about it, and the lady whose fiance it was a customer of ours, and I took down big ring, twice the size of this thing, an Accuvac coil, and a feedback loop, which I don't think I have in front of me. But I showed her how to hook them up to the ring. So you'd hook the negative end of the Accuvac coil onto the ring, and the feedback loop somewhere else on the other side of the ring, and that would then expand the field of those tools to be that size, or in her case it was, 1.5 meters across or whatever it is. And I said, put that under the bed, and I gave her a Royal Qubit, which is the smallest one in this set, to put under his head. And she did that. After sort of saying, well, what are they going to say? I said, look, we've done it many times, just do it, just tell me doing it, and that's it. So she did, and then the next day she went back down there, and they were taking the neck brace off, and she said, what's going on? They said, we've re-scanned him, we can't find any breaks, we don't know what the hell's happening. Then after that, the following day she went back, he started moving his toes, and he started coming out of the coma. And he's trying to stand up, and they're all pushing him back on the bed and everything else.
Wow.
In a big pack. And on the 5th day, he escaped from the hospital on foot. Turned around.
Like that word.
Turned around and told them they're all effed. And I know that I'm an undercover cop, and I know what you're trying to do to me. But he wasn't. He was just saying that to them. So
what a great result.
For not having some intuitive insight, I don't know, but anyway. Then they said it would be 9 months before he, rehabilitation. He was home in 9 weeks. So this was someone who she was told he would walk again, would probably never come out of the coma.
Yeah. I've seen people given that day to live that are still here because of your tools. Now, I've seen strokes go away because of your tools. I've got a set in Turkey that's been going from hand to hand for free. You're just loaning it to each other. Everybody gets a 1-month treatment with this, and the strokes go away, the clot gone. Am I right? They always say the machine is broken. They don't see it. The first result was bad. No. the result
seen
was good.
great discoveries.
I found that one of your tensor rings I was wearing was the new dimension. I put it on my arm because I had a terrible shoulder, and then I could move it. Within 2 weeks, I get full flexibility back, and I could use my arm. I thought I was headed for shoulder surgery because of my arthritis issues. So really, the work you do is so important, and I want people to know about it just because they're so important. And that was a stroke of genius. He was putting that in there. You come up with a lot of stuff, and it's you brought about ideas come to you. And even Tesla said that he would tap into the core, as he called it. It's where all information that you need is floating around. It will come down to you as you pick for it or need it. It needs to come to you if you're receptive. And it came to you right. You designed that one, the torus field double torus generator off a dream, didn't you, that night?
Yeah.
That's a beauty, that one.
Yeah.
And that one, I fucking love it. That is an amazing one. I love that. No, nobody can have it. That's mine.
Yeah, that produces the blue beam. That's the Earth anchor. That one relates to the pyramid. So yeah,
it's such a good fan of energy toward my head. As soon as I put it on in the morning, it's better than a cup of coffee. And nothing really cures that, but I mean, really, it is, as far as clarity goes. If I didn't have nothing else, I'd want that. Yeah, say you want the green one. If you want one like mine, I like no frills, right? Because I use it a lot. I wand with it. I bless with it. I see better futures through it.
Well, we have a lot of people use these with animals too. You know, like Devon Valley Wildlife Shelter down in Gippsland. They use all our tools on rehabilitating the wildlife. They have amazing success. You know, they use the big rings and the Accuvac coils, etc. And they've been using them for
you made one for Monty, Donna's dog. And the dog wouldn't stay out of the ring. Wherever you put it, move it anywhere, the dog finds these rings. It was amazing. Or when you set them up on your porch, the animals, they'll land on it. I haven't had it happen year yet, but they come very close. It's all about the light. They just love it. They do. I see pictures of birds perched on yours all the time, and they call the frogs in. Oh my! They do.
But the animals just attract to it. It's amazing. You know, you'll notice the wildlife starts to come in more than normal, and just life in general. You know, Slim said if there was just one living cell in a piece of dead wood, it would burst back into life under that field. And I've seen it with plants that were dead. We went away on holidays in summertime, come back home, and it's all just dead and drooping over. We've stuck a ring over it, and we took photos every sort of 20 minutes, half an hour, and it just came back to life. It was crazy. We've still got them.
That's awesome, man. This is stuff I love to hear about. I hope you guys are enjoying this entertaining. If you got any questions, I can see. Please ask away. Or Rachel could ask Rod about them sitting near each other. I don't know if she could pop links in or not for Sacred Knowledge Energy Tools Etsy. Is where these tools are available at. Rod has his Facebook groups and stuff. If you'd like to talk about any of that kind of stuff, please do. Yeah. I know. What you did for horses. I had to say this. He made a mask for horses.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have
one. And it's great on our heads, too. Yeah. That's doing it, man. It's doing it for nature and stuff, not just for people. And those rings like you got there around a horse's neck, they do great value to them.
Yeah, well, that version of this, of course, the 3.5 size Royal or the double TO we use, which is known as the Horse Harmonizer. And I mean, I've seen some amazing results with people using the ring on the horse, and they ride it bareback, no bridle, nothing. They just communicate to the horse, and it's just crazy stuff. A really, fiery, sort of agitated horse, you'd put that over their head and they'd just be as calm as a cucumber. Yeah, it's crazy the effect it has. We use a lot of the small dogs, stuff like that too. And, dogs that have got anxiety and won't walk in the park with other dogs or go out in public and freak out. You put one of those on their collar and it just changes the dog totally. It's crazy how it works. Just totally turns them around to different dogs.
I know somebody does horses. It says one of your small harmonizers, the one like the first one you gave me is they got it in. They put it near the barn, and runs through the music through it on thundery nights, and they don't stay as spooked. And I thought that was pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, it calms them down. And it was neat. I wondered if they could do that in chicken houses on firework nights so they don't have heart attacks and die. Because that happens a lot during our entertainment. Animals suffer greatly. And we're chem bombing our own skies, you know. But I digress. These are great for blessing water and things, and just making a better world. I just find that this is very beautiful. If you see people having pain, I just wave my wands at them. And I don't ask a whole bunch of permission. It might just be small, sore feet. But I'm no longer going to call it a healing because it might disturb people. I just call it, I'm just going to put some light in you. And it'll be delightful in a wonderful day. That's what I call this. Wonderful.
It's a metaphysical tool, and metaphysical or quantum is probably the correct term. Quantum stands for light, and basically, we you know, at the end of the day, we don't really know why it works. It just does, and different people react differently. Some qubits work better for some people than others. So they're all going to have an effect to some degree, but you know, some people need a specific frequency or energy more than what, you know, your partner might need or something. So I can do a muscle test on someone and test up really strong for a TO, and that their partner might test really strong for a Royal. And
that is true. You gave me several different rings to balance with until you found one that tuned good with me.
Yeah, that's right.
Something about also people's when they're born astrologically can affect which one will more naturally tune to them. And that's what Rachel does sometimes for people in a distance to find the right bracelet for them.
Generally, I can find out by their date of birth. I can work out what.
I don't know if y'all saw that video on my wall where Rod did that test, but what you don't know, he's laying like sideways like this at me. And that's my shoulder I'd had surgery at. I was amazed, actually. When I saw the video again, I thought he was just pulling on my arm. And I saw the video. He's fucking laying like that. You're going to pick these up, big guy. He fucking is. I was like, you see my face? Wow. He gave me an Oreo cookie passed through a tensor ring. And it had the same effect.
Yeah, that's right.
An Oreo. He was eating Oreos. They were delicious.
Charged water in a ring, you drink that and you won't be able to tip them over. But if I went near you with a device that emits EMF, it would knock that, you know. That's
what you did. You poisoned me with your phone, CMF. And then the balance was gone. You give a tensor ring in or drank the structured water. And that you have tensor rings on, like you had a copper water bottle with a tensor ring on the bottom. It tasted different, but it was very energizing. Yeah, absolutely. And great balance, because I'd be a clumsy fuck. And especially now with my vision going. But it was, the balance it gave was fantastic.
Have you got the eye mask, the goggles? Have you got them?
No, you ain't never sent me a set of them yet, or you see a picture of them. Because I just got this one. The Lecter. Yeah. You could fit the Faber beads in, barely. Yep. I like this one. It just clears the sinuses, and it smells like you're up on a mountain. Yeah, it's fresh and refreshing. And we was playing with this a little early, see if we can clear our eyes. I was feeling something. But then I was doing the X-Men joke with the laser beam to switch on his side. But I've already worn this today, so I don't really need another dose right now.
It's a little one for kids, a small version.
Great for thunderstorm.
Oh, look, anyone who has breathing difficulties, these are amazing. Even if you've just got a head cold, clogged up, you'd put that on for 20 minutes or so and you'd be able to breathe.
Yeah, John South gets great relief from it. I left her one in Turkey in a Moses ring and a head helmet. Yeah. So it's the head helmet's on loan with the Moses ring right now. We're going for number 10. 10 stroke clots. This one's a Vax clot. We'll just see. Hey, all the people I knew up there listened to me. Yeah. I showed Vax the movie. Somebody translated it from into Turkish. Okay. Hey, I did this.
Yeah.
When we weren't allowed to show it. And I didn't ask permission. We spread awareness instead. They were beating doctors, you know. Yeah.
Really?
That's what happened in Turkey. Yeah, when if somebody gave a jab and their family member died. Yeah, they don't even allow family to hardly visit in the hospitals anymore. They ain't allowed in. They were beating doctors to wait for it to come outside. They're beating the nurses coming over to the building. You know, this is doing what it takes. But anyways, I digress. Let's go right on back to the good topic of the beautiful healing. So this has a few components, right? You have a ring of a tensor ring. You have a copper sucker punch, as you call it, with wrapped around crystal, and you have an Accuvac
Coil. Yeah.
Would you explain the Accuvac coil a little bit? Because it's an essential piece of so many of your tools.
The Accuvac coil is essentially a vacuum cleaner for pain. So basically, it sucks negative or dark energy in on the south node or the negative end of the coil, and the bead end, which is the positive end, it pushes light frequency out. So it basically spits at 180 degrees and sucks in negative and pushes out positive. So that, and essentially Slim called it the vacuum cleaner for pain. But it has a lot of uses. If it can, you point the negative end at someone who's very irate or angry or upset or whatever, and within 2 minutes they'll be as calm as a cucumber.
And better stage
brick walls, because I've tested it. So, with what you need to understand with scalar is that nothing stops it. It'll go through lead, unlike microwave or EMF or whatever. You can put up tin foil around you and it'll block it, but not this. It doesn't. You can have this running in a tin shed, which I had. My neighbour's got one in his tin shed.
Hold that up, Rod. Show him what you got with the label on it, please. Somebody's asking. A little higher. There you go. I hope that helped you.
Well, Slim used to carry those in his pocket, coat pocket, everywhere he went, and he carried one of the Royal Qubits, which is the smallest ring in here, which works on the physical element of the body, I might add. He used to carry them everywhere. He always had one inside coat pocket. And one night he was at a restaurant, and there was a young couple having an argument on the table next to him. He pulled that out of his pocket. He sat it on the table with the negative end pointing towards them, and within 2 minutes they were all happy as Larry and communicating and talking about what they're going to do with the rest of their night.
Mm-hmm. I've been known to put a wand down while people are discussing very troubling topics. So it stabilizes them a bit.
Accuvac coil. So it's three Accuvac coils in series on a pipe, basically, which realistically this is a Atlantean wand. Okay, so the original piece was an Atlantean wand. We souped it up a little bit. An Atlantean wand was basically a copper pipe, and it was sealed one end. Quite often had a crystal, but it had to be sealed completely in both ends. They would project thoughts into the pipe, and they could point it at someone, and it would basically send a force field. So
it was a translator.
Basically, yeah. They could put intent into it, and it would.
So all they did was cap. They capped the piece of tubing and then put nothing else in it, and it still did a reaction.
Yeah.
Wow.
But we just changed it all and put the triple Accuvacs on it, and the crystals on either end. One, the darker end is for, of course, the to suck in the dark energy, and the light crystal for the positive end. So yeah, and it's been a very, very effective tool. It's quite potent, but it's very small, as in it's more like a pencil beam. It's
yeah, it's very fine. You could feel it. You can feel it on both sides of your hand. It's strange. Oh, yeah. It's like a fan. It blows through your hand. You feel it on both sides. Yeah, it's got a direction of travel. I'm convinced a bit that there's some torque involved in this, and it could be some kind of a propulsion device that would work in a zero gravity environment. I'm very curious about this one. This one here's got great potential for that, actually.
Put it towards your third eye, and you'll really feel it. So if you hold it.
No, that's okay. Here, that's okay. I've already drifted off once today, looking in that Viper. No, thank you.
I actually had a lady totally lose.
That takes it away.
When doing it.
I love meditating with this on my chest. This Viper one, very common, very common.
Yeah, Slim used the harmonizers on the body during healings. They quite often use the small harmonizers on the body with an array of rings as well. So
now I was going to touch on the practitioner set a little bit, because I'm not really 100% sure how they work. When I see them spread out and use, it looks like they're concentrating on the 5 major energy nexuses and getting them
Well,
flowing right. Am I hitting near anything right?
we've done the 3-ring set for years. We've just now introduced the 4th ring, which was the empowerment qubit. The royal qubit, the smallest ring with 1 bead, it works on it's the Egyptian royal qubit. That was the first ring Slim ever brought out, and that works on the element of the body. The middle ring is the arc or the biblical qubit, which basically works on the heart. So it works on both the physical and the emotional aspects of the heart. And we've had some phenomenal results with that, even just in the bracelet size, where people who had heart palpitations and issues with the heart, one girl in particular used to put hers inside a bra and never had a problem. She took it out stage and started getting heart palpitations again. So it's, just amazing results with that. And the 3rd one in this set, which is the lost qubit, works more on the mental and emotional aspects. But we have now introduced the 4th one, and that works on the etheric level. So it basically covers everything from
you put different intent into each of the rings. Did you put different intent into each of the rings, or is each one a slightly different qubit length for vibration purposes?
Oh, of course they are.
Curious.
Yeah. If they weren't the length they wouldn't work.
Gotcha.
100%.
Now, I was curious about that part, because there's a lot of times intent. You could make this thing and it say, I'm going to give it to somebody and they're going to die, right? So you put terrible intent into someone, and very well the Aether might make that. Or you twist this rung, it might do that. Or I could say, this is going to heal the world. And you send it out there, and the intent of this device is to do that. This is what Aether loves, your intentions. So I'm trying to get my head around the both of them, how they're working together. What a tool this one is. Yeah, it is. I love this little one. No, you may not have.
We actually haven't released these yet. There's quite a process in making these. If you have a look, it's like a braided twist, and a lot of wire. Hell of a lot of wire.
You was walking all up your drive making this other one here. I remember you told me a picture of it. I mean, you was well down your drive walking up with a drill. Fucking hell. And it didn't make a whole lot.
We're twisting up, like probably 40 meters of wire,
So twisted, man.
But, I'm very close to bringing these out. It's just a matter of whether we can get our hands on the lengths of wire needed, but the right.
That was going to be my next question. How do you decide if a tensor length, qubit length, should be released or not?
A lot of testing, basically. That's with everything that I've done. It was sometimes some cases years of testing and testing and testing until we knew that it was doing what it's supposed to do. And a lot of the time we didn't know what to do when we first built it. And then we'd give it to psychics or healers the same way Slim did. And the way they would work with it, they would then write up a report on what they found, and then I'd get everyone's reports and go, well, they said it works on eyes, they said it works on this, and match them all together. And all had something common. So you'd find that common denominator between everybody's report.
Because when you send me stuff, you never tell me what they're going to do, right? I tell you, what am I noticing? And that's a great feedback you get from.
Whenever we discovered anything new, that's what we did. And we put it out to trusted people, psychics and healers and stuff that we knew that, were the real thing, and wait for their feedback. And in 9 times out of 10, it was exactly the same answer. I
had only one feedback on this. Wow.
None of them knew who had it, and no one was collaborating to each other, and they still wrote back the same report.
Yeah, that's important. I never know who you was going to send stuff to as well. I know there might be a couple of those sitting about, and sometimes I might say, hey, if you got one of these on the other side of the world, why don't you match me today? We're gonna do a blessing. We're gonna play a frequency to match a meditation that's going on worldwide and stuff, and help with the vibe around those people, so they're not as lower to begin with. Their inertia is less to leave it to the density they're in. Does that make sense?
we've got a lot more harmonizers out, especially on the East Coast here now. I mean, I'm seeing remarkable difference in what their deployment of chem and their weather warfare, let's call it.
You accidentally found one the other day cutting open a can, didn't you? A freaking Acuvac inside something. I was stunned. So it was.
Yeah.
Go on, tell that one. That's actually pretty cool.
We called it the humdrum. It's basically, it was an old hot service, and I cut one end off because we use the copper plate to make all the bases for the harmonizers, so we have to hand beat, knock them out. And when I opened it up, there was this big coil inside it, and I mean, I'm talking, you know, a coil like this round, and I'm looking at it, and it's actually been wrapped in exactly the right direction, in an anti-clockwise direction, and it's a perfect Accuvac coil. And I counted up the actual wraps in the coil, and it was 21. And Slim always was in 21 or 30. And I couldn't believe it. I'm thinking, what the hell? Anyway, I put a coil that I made many years ago, which was a Bioroyal induction coil. So it's basically a caduceus coil, which is overwrapped multiple times around a gimpy Dreamtime ring, which is our 5G one, and it just blew the sky.
It did.
It's phenomenal. Absolutely.
I was looking at your radar at the time, and I said, Jesus Christ, he just blew a hole over Harvey Bay. And then they came bombed the fuck at you and took the hole away. And somebody else further down your coast did it too, because I saw it again.
Yeah. That the other one's down, down near Sydney, in that area.
You guys know I tried to make my forecast wrong, right?
I do.
I try to fight this. You guys don't know this. I'm trying to make my forecast wrong, and I give good accurate forecasts so we know how to react. We got tools that we try to use to thwart these things. Sometimes lack of communication between the users of different tools is causing more harm than good.
Yeah,
you have to admit that. So a network should be created.
We know your forecasts are correct, but we act upon it to try and knock it out.
That's it. That's what I'm in. I'm trying to say, okay, hit it here, hit it here. Hey, if you take that gear out of this one low in the center of the Atlantic, all the weather for the next 2 months is going to fail that they're playing, because it's good.
Yeah.
There's certain things, moves you could do, but their geoengineers have the chemical catalyst to make it happen quickly and again. And breathing right now is a big problem. So us knocking out the sickness mix, or even if I've been spraying a bunch of chem and shit, and dust has been settling and nasties, like you picked up that, told me about the barium. You said it was poisoning all that livestock, and it was 5 times higher than allowed. What if we can get this stuff transmuted in the sky before it comes down? 100%. That's great. If we don't want to rain it out at sea and poison fishy stuff, but is it better to rain it out there than to have it flood the land and then give all the toxins from our agricultural mispractices affect a lot of things? I wonder about this.
We know. I mean, I'm about to do some of my own tests. I'm going to send some stuff off to the lab of my own. We have done water and stuff too, but and got really phenomenal results. But I mean. And look, even Slim did his own test way back, you know, with the Denver experiments, and the water, the air, and the soil were also toxic. Nothing to even grow there, you know. It was terrible. But they had EPA and different scientists and God knows what monitoring their experiments, and at the end of it all, they all concluded that. The situation there had improved by 80%. So that's a pretty good outcome.
It is.
They couldn't explain why, because it defied everything they'd learnt in physics, but they could see the results.
You can't put something that never was in a box.
No.
Aether is every box before it's made.
Just talking about that muscle test I did on you a long time ago. And a lot of people have watched some of the videos that we've done, and they say, oh, I pull their arm out on an angle and all this sort of stuff. There's no trickery involved. I mean, I'm more than happy to show anybody that test, and try it for yourself, because as soon as you hold a ring and you feel me put pressure on, you can feel it straight away. It's undeniable. I've even done
undeniable. Remember, I was trolling you about this in 2015. I thought it was a bunch of shit. I was wrong.
Yeah. I know.
I'm a show me person, and I was wrong. Hear me admit that? Everybody should learn to do that. Then advance yourself in life. Now I can help heal people and undo some of this damages being done. And you can set these on a map.
Yeah, you can.
On a specific location.
Yeah,
and affect
absolutely.
change in that area.
Yeah, that was something to do. Yeah.
Yeah, something to do, CERN.
Yeah, quite often when there was a big storm or cyclone or hurricane or something coming, they'd put out a word to everyone who was on their list and to get the map and sit the harmonizer on that particular area. So collective work on that particular area where the storm was going to affect, and they had some really
key meetings of our oppressors. You have a G8 meeting, you pop it on a map. I was actually walking underneath where the meeting was at MS Bank because they moved it to the conference center. I was winding them, and I had your harmonizer running at work. They failed to ratify the Paris Agreement. Failed miserably.
Unreal. Yeah.
That was blasted. Hey, your other people was turning their tools on of tool, but they was aiming at Scotland. They had secretly moved it. Yeah. I remember when it showed up at the bank. I had to get a background check. Yeah, they had to run a check on me to see if I'm allowed in the building when the prime minister's there. Yeah, of course I am. I'm a good boy. I can pass checks quickly. I ain't a perv. Yeah, I can go places. They're the pervs. They're checking our background. What's up with that? They had horses and all sorts around here. It was fucking cool, actually. I'm all walking around, man. There's all these people. They got. Well, so I hit them all. They all got tooled. Have some light. You need it bad, man. This thing was glowing in my hand. It was actually, it was really almost numb my hand out. Because sometimes when I do a long line, my hand will go numb. It's a weird feeling comes through these. When you hold it for a while, the vibration stays in your hand.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had people hold a bracelet or a ring or whatever, and they go, oh, all tingling up and down. Whatever. You know, and these people who, they're not, you know, they don't work as a psychic or anything like that. They just pick it up and they can feel it straight away. They can feel the vibration. It's like almost like an electrical feeling, or a pins and needles running up and down your arm.
Oh, what you playing around with down there? Go on, show us.
Just the Accuvac. I was just going to say to you that Slim had an amazing ability to heal broken bones using these, or even said in the hands of someone who was, well, even chiropractors were using these on people, and there was confirmed reports of broken bones being healed within 10 minutes to an hour, and that was confirmed on X-ray. They even healed a horse with a broken hind leg. They created a harness.
Wonderful.
And they worked on the horse with a bigger version of it, of course. The you know, a big one like that one.
It's a pretty verified thing, a broken bone, right? When it goes away suddenly, easy. You know, it wasn't the Keebler elves.
On a horse, it's unheard of, mainly because I mean, put so much weight on the leg, it can't, you know. But anyway, they persisted with it. They built this harness to hold the horse in, and they worked on it for, I can't remember the length of time. Actually, if Leon's watching, he'll probably know that, and he can type the message up there. But yeah, they totally healed the horse. They healed the broken leg. Yeah, which was
because they kill horses when that happens. What a shame.
Slim did a lot of work on horses and animals. Huge amount of work on animals and horses particularly with the tools. So a lot of them he made specifically for horses, like the nose mask for the horse. That was now called the head horse face mask. Originally was made for a horse that had breathing problems. He tried to make a nose mask for it, and it basically, essentially, it's half a harmonizer.
Whoa, I've seen one.
You've got a head mask, so you know.
Yeah. I got one here. It's on loan at a hospital, and there's one in Turkey being used. There's such a healy things that I don't hesitate to let them stay in someone's hands, and I don't charge money. Why? Because these gifts were given freely to me. I should freely give back. And that one person might live and save somebody's life later on and needed to be saved. You never know. So I was trying to use these tools freely. as freely as you give them to me.
Yeah.
I don't really sell them either. I got my whole collection here. Other than occasionally I do let something go.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
rent with rent, but I don't need net, so forget it. And you
Yeah.
ain't getting these. I love these. I want to take that one off the top and wear it. It looks very comfortable. It's nice and thin. I promised I wouldn't, so it's still hooked up. But Slim once described this type of Acuvac that has the outside coil as this being like the sun and this ball being like the planet, and that the flow will come here and out. He explained it like a planet. And it is kind of a really cool description that Slim gave. I do share his talks from the 1990s. He's genius.
Look at the harmonizer in that format. It basically you have the South Pole and the North Pole, and what happens, it sucks in the negative energy or the harmful radiation energy in the bottom and pushes out as light frequency and negative ions out the top. And that's exactly the way the Earth works. So when we get a big solar flare, it sucks it all back in through the South Pole and pushes back out through the top.
If it's generating ions, I don't know how it's not electrical and magnetic. This is the part of this I'm not understanding, and I'm having a hard time getting my head around. But the results are good, so I don't think about it too much.
It's they call it a 0 point energy. So if you can,
I was just thinking how copper reacts in an electrosmog matrix like we got now. I was curious. The Pharaoh didn't have that.
Orgonite works in a similar manner, slightly similar manner, and I know that Dr. Willem Reich was harnessing that energy and was running things off it like light bulbs and God knows what. He worked a way out to harness that energy, so he was actually running things on free energy through orgone energy. So I don't know how he did it, but
I want to know how. Why? Peaceful life. Pardon?
Somewhere near Vermont, there's like a museum of Willem Reich's home there apparently. A friend of mine, I think he's been. And they've got a lot of information. I've never seen any pictures or anything of it, but I've heard about it. So. Yeah,
I hadn't either. I got to go to Mark Twain's house in Harriet Beecher Stowe's because they were neighbors. That would be a cool place to visit, actually. He always would tapping freaking boards, hoping maybe he hits something. What's down here is a secret translator or something.
There's
secret frequency list
that have brought out amazing tools, and realistically we just join them all together. We've got the orgonite from Willem Reich, we've got the tools from Slim Sperling, we've got the Tesla coils in there, and we've got the frequencies from Royal Rife. We've just put the whole lot together.
That's what it's got to be in life. So we're going to start to wrap this up. Where can people reach you, find your tools easily?
Well, there's a few outlets. I mean, Rosebud Health Foods in Victoria does our tools. They've got quite a good range.
You say that's in Victoria?
Yeah, that's in Victoria, down in Rosebud. Spiritual Cauldron, just out of Harvey Bioroyal Road. They've got quite a good range. I must also mention Fierce Truth magazine, which is available online, and that they've done some centre double page spreads for us free of charge. So I must give them a big thank you too, because they've been amazing. But apart from that, you can get them online through our Etsy page, which I think the links have been put up. I've seen a few pop up while I've been talking. But yeah, the majority of it now is all online. We used to do all the markets. We're going to start doing a few again, but I've just had so much trouble keeping up. It's just been crazy.
Yeah, that's why I ain't been showing your stuff too much. That one day when you guys went up to Queensland to do some mining, I said to myself, I'm going to sell this store while it's gone. Every bit of it. I nearly succeeded, actually, because I was watching them wipe them all out. None left, none left, none left. Okay, guys, get this. When you came back, I swore I wouldn't do it again.
Well, see,
That's how I can support you the best. I can't send you lots of money. But is there any way we can send you support to further your research and your comfort? New tools you might need for stretching and bendings or to make the harmonizers of your dreams. How can we support you, Rod?
I don't know.
We're going to have to figure this out. We got to make you a PayPal or something to help you. As I think people should get behind your work, just like they should get behind Harry's work. But he needs a new microscope. So we're going to put something up for him in his name. But that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, cool.
Maybe Harry will do one of these shows too. So I'm gonna wrap it up. And again, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for persisting and actually getting this live to come off. Is anybody? I hope you're satisfied with it. If you'd like to support my work, you can do so at paypal.me/Robert Deutsch. Or send me a kind word or send me a message, and I'll tell you other ways. But let's get behind Rod here. Let's all send him a really good smile for the day. You're going to feel great walking on a cloud. Thanks, brother. I can't wait to talk to you again. All right. Cheers. Bye.